basic level, we understand that the major responsibility or the expectation from a cryptographic algorithm from cryptography is the confidentiality of information, the first point. So why we are saying is because I don't want anybody else to be able to read the message. I want it to be encrypted. I want to be in a format that only the person, the recipient who I want to be able to read this should be able to access this, should be able to recognize the text. Other than that, there are a couple of other factors as well, which is integrity, where we are saying the receiver of a message should be able to know that the message in itself has not been modified. So there should be a mechanism for B to be able to say that yes, while the message that was sent from A is actually the same message that was sent to me and it has not been modified. So should an intruder somehow catch hold of this information and modify it, B should immediately be able to say, oh, this is not the original message, so I should not trust this information. This is when we're talking about attacks like man-in-the-middle attack. If somebody is sniffing, if there is a party, so man-in-the-middle attack is typically when there is a sender A and there is a receiver B and there is a channel of communication. If somebody is sitting in that channel of communication and kind of sniffing the traffic and the data, if the message, and they can intercept the message, alter the message. So the confidentiality part is to say that they will not be able to read it, and somehow if they want to modify it, or if they do modify it, the receiving party should be able to say yes, this does not match, or this is not the message that A was talking about.
Akshay, just for the benefit of freshers and people who are watching, are these all theoretical concepts, or does actually man in the middle and these types of attacks actually happen in some kind of scenarios? Can you give some light, because you have that hacker's mindset? So I wanted to know whether in reality someone actually has the time and resources to actually do brute force and do these kind of things.
Yeah, so now I'll answer this question in two parts. One is does it happen in practical world? Yes, it does. It does. There are ways and techniques of conducting man-in-the-middle attacks, of conducting sniffing attacks in a network or a setup. You could do this through hijacking the DNS. You can do this from attacking the routers or the like the gateways of communication who are routing the traffic, who are generally like a typical router. You could conduct attacks like ARP cache poisoning, which is ARP is like the address is the table which has information, a mapping of who the person is and kind of is responsible for transmitting data. So you could poison or the cache or the ARP cache of a router. So yes, in practicality and even in theory, this is possible. The second part is, does it happen that often? So I would say that it used to happen a lot. It's still in picture. There is always this threat of a man-in-the-middle attack, but in organizational scenarios, it has become more and more difficult because there are robust solutions and checks in place, like hardening of your gateways, like detecting man-in-the-middle and preventing man-in-the-middle attacks, and concepts of cryptography as well, to ensure that first of all, man-in-the-middle should not happen in the first place, and it should happen. Should it happen, it would be detectable and preventable in an organization. It's a relatively simple on home networks. It's relatively simple on unsecure networks. Again, coming back to the point, so you have to make sure that you secure your assets. You have hardened all your devices, not just the servers, even the gateways and the devices that are responsible for handling and routing the traffic should also be secured.
Yeah, and sorry for asking a follow-up question on this one, Akshay. Does it only happen to data which is going in transit, like data in transit, which is actually going from point A to point B, or it happens to data at rest also?
Yes, so man-in-the-middle attack would usually only be applied to the data in transit because you're sitting in the middle. But if you're able to compromise the endpoint, then there's a whole different gamut of attacks that could happen, and there's a whole lot of discussion. So we've already discussed these in the past. that you could exploit weaknesses and vulnerabilities in servers and
Yeah,
kind of gain
right,
access to
right,
them. Yeah,
right,
but
right.
from a from a transit is more in relevance to the man in the middle, because you're actually in between. So the data has to go from one place to another for me to, because if you've compromised the endpoint, then pretty much there's no point discussing about the transit itself,
Yeah,
right? Because
right,
then
right, right, right.
because then yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Akshay, Srikanth Karna has a question. He's asking, can you please explain with one live example relating to all these terminologies that you are explaining here, so that it will be easier for all the audience to understand? Sure, we will do that, but first I would like Akshay to complete the slides, right, Akshay, so that
Yeah, I
people
mean
have.
all so
Yeah,
I think what he means to ask is there a simpler way to explain this to me,
yeah,
something that I can make sense? Yes, yes, very
yeah.
much so. To the gentleman who asked this, that in the coming slides we'll discuss all of this. Should you have even doubts after that, no problem in explaining this even further.
Yeah, Srikanth, stay here, I would say. And as Akshay mentioned, let us first go through the slides and see what's in the store. Maybe at the end of this, slides are over, you will not be asking this question. This can be the case, right? I don't know what Akshay has put in on the store today. So go on, Akshay. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, it's a surprise for everybody, but yeah, I mean it's let's just see what happens. We'll leave it to you folks, and any feedback is welcome. Yeah. So then we are talking about we talked about confidentiality, integrity, and from an authentication perspective, it's very simple, right? B should know that A has sent this. So like a spoofing attack is where an intruder might pose as A and then send a message to B. So B should be able to say, no, this message has not come from B. So there is a subtle difference in the integrity and the authentication part of it. The message in itself has been sent by A or not is the part that is concerned with integrity, and is A the person sending this message is what is concerned with authentication. So am I talking to the right person, or what he's saying to me? So what he's saying to me comes in integrity, and is he the right person who's talking to me comes under authentication. Then non-repudiation is like, let's say I send a message to you, love, and tomorrow I say, no, I didn't send it. So within cryptography, there should be a way for you to say, no, Akshay, there is a proof you have actually sent it. You are the person who have sent it. So repudiation is me denying that I have done some activity at a later point in time. And through cryptography, what you can do is you can prove, or you can say, yes, no, there is an evidence that you in fact were the person who has sent this message to me. Then we come to a topic that you've covered yesterday itself. So I'm not going to define this for everybody, but I'm just going to walk you through the concept.